The following presentation is brought to you by the Pride of ODU, the official NIL collective of Old Dominion Athletics. Be a monarchist. Join the Pride. Monarch Nation, thank you for joining us. We have a special mini guest here for a special announcement. Jay, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me on this wonderful Sunday.
So about a year ago, we signed a partnership deal, and we've been kind of working through that over the last year. And recently, we have a big change coming forward for Old Dominion fans. It's pretty exciting. Can you tell ODU fans about it?
Yeah, happy to. I think look, we've had a great run over the last year, just trying to integrate, and especially as we, as the collective, are starting to try and build and get our feet underneath us. And you guys have been instrumental in helping us grow. And so we can't thank you enough for that, first and foremost. But we're really excited about the future, and especially further enhancing our partnership. And I think fans will be very excited to know that we're going to end up merging the Monarchists and the Pride of ODU to become one, and really become one cohesive group trying to move ODU forward. And I think that there's a lot of possibility, and obviously we have to continue to try to work through that and grow. But giving everybody a really streamlined approach for their source for ODU athletics and all the great things happening, and news and recruiting information and interviews with players and coaches. I really think we're going to be able to expand what we can do together for the benefit of the fans.
I know I'm excited. It's going to give us a lot more access to bring content to Monarch Nation. Ever since Mike and I started this, a couple years ago in a March, at the very beginning, it was interesting. It was a challenge to get those guests and to work with the school and build a lot of trust with the school, and obviously try to grow the fan base so they knew where to go to get good content. But this has the possibilities of taking things to a whole new level, and I think fans are going to be really excited to see what the possibilities are with our two groups like kind of really coming together.
Well, and I in this world of NIL, it changes every week and every day, and so I still think that nobody really knows how this is all going to end up. But what I will say is, I think from a merger standpoint, you guys do a fantastic job of providing content to the fans and giving people a different look than what they may be able to get directly from ODU or local news sources. You guys understand what people want to see and people want to know, and how to get people engaged. Whereas, from a collective standpoint, where we excel is the integration with the university and understanding what they need and how they want, and what they want to operate, moving forward, especially with my time working there for many years. So I think it's the perfect marriage of what we both do well, and finding a way to continue to kind of grow the organization and really move ODU forward. And I hope that, obviously, with some of our NIL dealings, that we'll be able to help facilitate some of those interviews that people want to see, or interesting features like day in the life, or documentary type style stuff, or recruiting news. There's just so many possibilities. But I think moving forward, there's almost so many possibilities that we'll have to be really smart about what we continue to try to engage with, and what we want to put time and effort into. And so I think the fan base can help us by directing us by what they want to see, and then just trying to make sure that, we provide them benefits for being a part of the collective, and, understanding that the collective is important for ODU to continue to be successful and competitive moving forward. And you guys are going to definitely be a big part in how we try to continue to make sure that the fans understand that it's their collective. It's not one person. It's not me calling the shots, or it's not one big donor calling the shots. It's a collective in a true form. Although I don't necessarily always love using that word collective, but I like to refer to it as a business because we are a for-profit entity. But we really want the fans to be able to dictate, what they want and what they want to see out of us moving forward.
So I think fans, to get a better idea of what this looks like moving forward, maybe we can explain what this kind of merger means for the Monarchist and our content online. I'm sure, Jay, you'd like to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a great foundation and starting point, and we obviously need fans to understand that it's going to be a continual growth process, which is why feedback is really important. But in the short term, what we're doing as a collective is building out a new website. We are going to have some announcements about our structure change and how we're going to operate as a business, and really fans and current members of the collective shouldn't see that much adjustment. However, the website will look new. We will not have a third party anymore, so everything will be coming directly to me, which will give us a lot more control. But also with this new website, we're going to be able to integrate, the Monarchists and your website, and it'll all live on one page, so everybody can go to one website and take care of collective needs while also consuming all the great content that you guys do. So we're just trying to streamline that approach. And in addition to that, online e-commerce, the t-shirts, sweatshirts, things that you guys sell versus, or in addition to what we're going to start rolling out with, everything's going to be housed on one location. So it should make things very easy for fans to get to and supporters to get to. And hopefully we'll continue to provide benefits for those members of the collective moving forward as well through the merger and partnership.
I know we're really excited about that, Jay. Over the the course of the last year or so, Mike, myself, Gary, we've really tried to convey to folks that we are closely working together and getting folks to join the collective, the benefits of those sorts of things. But this is the next step in really getting folks to understand that we are together, we are one. Being able to go to one website to be able to consume monarchist content, to be able to join the membership or the manager account, to be able to buy merchandise, whether it's an idea that our group has come up with or it's something that's coming straight from the collective, all in one place. I think sends a message that shows that it's a one-stop shop. We are together.
Yeah, and I also hope that we can provide to you guys the additional resources. We've put a lot of money into infrastructure. This website is going to be a big part of that, and some of the background structure of that website hopefully will provide a lot more opportunities to do, cool things like live streaming and being able to have sort of recruiting information that is only available to members, things of that nature, but also just from the basics of how can we help you guys from a financial standpoint with content, whether it's cameras or backdrops or podcasting facilities or things of that nature, just to further help you guys produce better and better content and or just more content from a volume standpoint. So I like to look at this as like the perfect marriage, and that I think we bring both separate sides of the table together in a way that really is a very easy partnership to build on top of, and I think the whole benefit of that is that it just provides better and better benefits and content to our current members and fans.
And the interview that will be following this with Ricky and Colton is all because of this partnership. You helped facilitate that. This will be our first in-season interview with a player from the football team. We've never done that before, and that's possible because of people supporting the collective and becoming members. And to continue producing content like this, we're going to need more members to join. Letty is telling you to join. So join.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that um, this is something that we haven't done before. We haven't really done a lot of in-season contracts. I think since we launched back in November of last year, it's been a learning experience, and there's a lot that goes into it. Um, Everything from getting legal contracts written to staying up to date as to what's going on in the world of the NCAA that seems to always be in motion. Um, Everything from filing taxes to accounting and financing for the collective and understanding how we're going to build revenue streams, and then keeping an eye on the competition and making sure we're being competitive. But most importantly, from my perspective, it's making sure that we're being efficient in our deployment of capital, and that's important. I mean, we very much try to operate like a real business, whether that's my background in real estate or some of our other board members and their own companies that they run. I mean, I think we got a great group from that building standpoint, but none of this gets done without members. From a cash flow standpoint, we've been able to at least grow the membership base in order to do things like in-season contracts because we have the cash flow and the ability to, get a lawyer and have some of that stuff written, especially with, some of our more prominent players, such as Colton. It requires a lot of help and a lot of assistance. And so I think that as we continue to grow, we'll be able to do more and more items like this. So all I can say is really thank you to the members because they've really made it happen. And we're just trying to be really good stewards of, our members and their contributions and the funds in which we deploy in order to continue to move ODU in the right direction. So
I know one of the questions or the comments that we've gotten a lot has kind of been, what are some of the benefits of being a member, over the course of time. Obviously things have evolved, and the collective has gone through different segments of its maturation. And like you were talking, Jay, it's almost like, I'm thinking about it being a parent. When you have a kid, when your wife is pregnant and going through, there's no real manual. Like, I mean, there's books that people have written, but there's not a manual on it. And this is a brand new thing that just kind of started a couple years ago. So I think you and the folks that you've been working with have, it's been a living, breathing sort of kind of thing to get where you are now. And I know that I can speak for for the Monarchists. We're really thankful of the patience that most of Monarch Nation has had with joining and sticking with us through this. But I know there's a lot to be excited for coming up.
yeah, I think that look, we're not perfect, and there is no playbook here. There is nobody to really look at and say that's the perfect model because every school in the country is trying to figure it out, and every collective in the country is trying to figure it out. We spend a lot of time talking with a number of different collectives, big and small. And I think that we try to implement a lot of what some of the big boys are doing because I think they do have good structure and processing and procedure. But there's still a lot of ground that we need to make up from a fan uh, from a fan standpoint, right? Like we have to provide better benefits. That was key in why we have kind of made an adjustment and starting to build out our own website and really trying to truly move independent because it will give me and our board greater control on how we provide benefits and opportunities to our members. And so I think as we move forward, we're going to start doing things like, having our own merchandise, having gifts for folks that join at certain levels. We're going to streamline the levels to make it, really try to make it as simple and straightforward as possible. And then continue to provide things like, VIP events that we haven't done a great job of doing short term. And a lot of that is just from a time and hurdle standpoint from other organizations that we work with. So I think that moving forward, having more and more control and having the ability to do things much quicker, and allowing us to be really nimble in what we can provide for members. I would like to think that we'll really be able to step our game up in the membership benefits category. Something that we just haven't necessarily been able to do very efficiently short term. So I'll say it a million times and probably until I'm blue in the face, but I can't thank those folks who have been early adopters of the collective and understanding the importance of it from a competitive standpoint. I can't say thank you enough, and more so that like thank you, one, and two, I recognize the fact that we probably haven't done as good of a job as we needed to on providing some of those benefits, but that's priority number one and why we're making all these changes and adjustments. And I don't like changing things very frequently because that really throws members and supporters off. But I do think it was very important and almost critical in order to provide that opportunity for further fan engagement and membership growth. So.
Well, I'm very excited about this move coming very soon. I'm not sure if we want to share the timeline or if it's just too sketchy to share, but I'm very excited about this website and what we'll be able to deliver to fans on this website.
Yeah, I think, I'm happy to at least allude to the fact that it should be something that is done before the start of the year. Maybe sooner, but we'll send out that information as soon as we feel good about making sure the infrastructure is set and ready to go. And that way we're not jerking around people too much, right? We want to make it clean and easy. And, but yeah, hopefully within the next month or 2 months, we'll be ready to roll. But I'm very excited about it as well, Mike. I'm just very excited that you guys are going to be even more involved than you already were. And I think that's going to continue to help us grow. Look, I mean, candidly, I am not a content person, not what I'm good at. So I'm excited to have some additional resources to say, like, hey, Mike, Aaron, what do you think about this? Gary, what do you think about that? And I really think it'll help us provide an even better situation for our supporters moving forward. So I couldn't be more excited about it.
And I want to make it clear to folks, we're still going to be providing content, free content, the way that we've been doing, but there also will be exclusive content that's going to happen as part of the membership benefits, things that only folks who are a member of the Pride of ODU will have access to. I won't say exactly what some of that stuff is. There will, Jay, I know we'll put that stuff out. We'll find opportunities to really reward folks who are members there, but we'll continue to be hitting all of Monarch Nation.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a great point, Aaron, too, right? Like, we want to be all inclusive. I mean, as much as I would love everybody to be a member of the collective, I understand that that's not always going to be the case, but we want to make sure that we still hold true to what the goal is. And that goal is really making sure that fans understand that we're here for them. And we want this to be for everybody. And we don't want this to be an elitist type of an establishment, right? We want everybody to be involved. We want the feedback. So I thought it was critical to have, your podcasts and things that you guys are already doing still available to the public. I think that's very important, for the long term. So yeah, I'm all supportive of continuing to do that. So I think that's the best part about this merger, is just the fact that I think we're all on the same page and trying to keep fans first and make sure that they understand that they're the most important aspect of this.
And I'll add, we thought long and hard about what we would include as those member benefit content pieces. It'll be all stuff that's never been available to Old Dominion fans from us or really anyone in the media space to this point. So I'm really excited to get this thing rolling and see how it plays out.
Likewise. I'm excited to make it happen. So, a lot of hard work went into it. And, I think we've had some great help from some outside sources in order to get that done from a capital standpoint. And I think a lot of people see the value in it. And I think it'll be really, really exciting and cool to see when it's all buttoned up and we present for the first time.
And I want to make sure we, the Monarchists, thank you and the board and Alex Mitchum for all of the support and belief in what we're doing. Obviously, this wouldn't be possible, but without that.
Well, I will make sure to pass that along. And I mean, look, you guys have done all the hard work. So I mean, you built this before we were ever around. You had your hands in the dirt long before we did, and so really props to you guys for seeing a need and filling that need, and not to mention the really the donation of your time and effort on that front. I mean, I see how much you guys put into it. I would assume, and I would like to think that most of your supporters know that as well. But just to reiterate the fact, I mean, you guys really go above and beyond, and I just commend you for filling a need and putting as much effort and love into it as you have.
So
it's all about supporting Old Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Monarch Nation, the best way that you can do that is go to the prideofodu.com, become a member. If you're not, if you are, thank you. If you are and you have friends who aren't, please encourage them to join. They can join at just about any level. It's very, very affordable, and every member helps our programs. It helps us to be able to provide this sort of content. We obviously want our teams to be able to compete first and foremost against their peers in the Sun Belt. There's no reason why we don't have the strongest collective in the Sun Belt, and then the next step to the G5 and so forth. So thank you so much for everybody who's jumped on board this train so far, but we're just getting started.
Couldn't have said it better. Yeah, I mean, and I do think it's important. I'll just add this little tidbit here. As of right now, 85 to 88% of all funds we bring in goes directly back out to supporting what we try to accomplish from the NIL front, so that we've done a really good job keeping overhead very low. Obviously, I do want people to understand that it's a business, and but that business goes towards keeping ODU competitive, and and so I just want people to understand that it's vital to continue that growth if we want to continue to kind of increase our competitive standing. And so we try very hard, though, to minimize overhead, not overextend ourselves. I don't want to be on the front page of some website because we couldn't pay our bills or have things go south. And so while we would like to move faster, we're trying to be very cognizant of how we're stepping, because this is a long-term thing, even though it's going to change and adjust how it's operating and what it looks like from an NCAA rules perspective or even a state law perspective. We're trying to make sure that we represent ODU in a very fine fashion and making sure we don't get out over our skis. So.
And I'd like to just make two kind of business points. The first one being, so Jay, thank you for the transparency on that. I know that's something that a lot of folks are probably curious about. As the revenue goes up that's taken in by the collective, those expenses and that percent will go down. Obviously, the collective has a lot of expenses up front. There's fixed costs and there's variable cost, and some of those don't go. Some of them stay the same no matter how little, or how great a revenue. So the larger we grow this pot, the larger percentage of dollars that are going to go straight to the athletes is. That's the first point. The second point is Mike and Gary and myself have been very intentional in letting folks know of like the things that we've done with revenue, merchandise. We don't keep a penny. Everything that we've done has gone back to either the collective, to ODAF, to Toys for Tots or something. And this relationship change doesn't change our mission in that it just allows us to take things to a whole nother level of being able to support even more. So another pitch, please, guys, if you haven't joined, join at theprideofodu.com. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell everybody. Let's go.
I think that's a beautiful way to end this discussion. So thank you for joining us today, Jay. Stay tuned for after the break. We're going to have Ricky Rahne talking about Colton. And after Ricky, we'll have Colton. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. This episode of the Monarchist podcast is brought to you by the Pride of ODU Collective. Their mission is to elevate the experience of student athletes through name, image, and likeness, while also elevating the fan experience. If you or your business are interested in getting involved, you can reach out to us directly or go over to theprideofodu.com. That is theprideofodu.com. Thank you for listening, and go Monarchs. All right, we are here with Ricky Rahne to talk about Colton Joseph. Take us back to when you first started recruiting him. Harry Minium wrote a great article on Colton and detailed how that process played out. Mm-hmm. You guys reached out to quarterback coaches across the country. Mm-hmm. You obviously got Colton's tape. What was it about his tape that made you want to kind of start the conversation of making him a Monarch?
No, I think when you watch his tape, he made a bunch of plays, down the field and with his legs, and he's playing against good competition as you're watching the tape. He certainly looked like he's one of the better athletes on the field, but he's still making accurate throws and doing those sort of things. So I remember watching the actual highlight tape and liking it, and then getting in contact with the quarterback coach and having him film it. And have him film and throw. I was like, hey, I'd love to see it actually come off his hand, because it's different when you're watching the tape. Sometimes, that's why you go watch a guy throw live, and you just kind of want to see it come off his hand. And he did that, and I thought the ball came off his hand well. He had a good quick release, and it wasn't too long. And a throwing motion is a little bit like a golf swing. You want it to be you want it to be repeatable, because that's what's going to make it accurate. That's what's going to make it consistent and those sort of things. And so being able to see that, it was definitely a repeatable release and some things like that. There are some things that, with all kids, you can work on and things like that. But you definitely saw the raw talent that he had there. And on tape, you could see the confidence that he also had, which is huge.
All right, so he hasn't been here that long. It's only his second year here at Old Dominion. But since arriving on campus, where has his growth as a player been the most?
I think just his overall understanding of defenses, I think, has really improved. I also think his understanding of what maybe this and this would have worked in high school, but it doesn't work in college, and particularly with pocket movement and things like that. I think he's gotten a lot better at pocket movement. I think he's improved at pocket movement even since he's started playing. I think if you look at his first game of playing as opposed to now, there's been some major improvements. You see it in practice, and it's gone on to the games. So there's been those two things that I would say are the biggest improvements.
All right, so going from a backup role to a starter role, there's a lot of new things laid at his feet. Mm-hmm. How has his game preparation changed, and how has it changed week to week?
Well, I think that's one of the things that I was really impressed with. All right, so he plays against Virginia Tech, and then that game probably doesn't go the way he wants it to from another standpoints, and he's able to still prepare and be the guy who goes in the game in Bowling Green and go get us that win. And I think that shows a lot of maturity, because it could have gone the other way. It could have been like, oh, well, I prepared all this way and it didn't go well, or it didn't go the way I thought, or I didn't get the opportunity I wanted. And instead, I think he doubled down on his preparation, had an unbelievable week of practice that showed us, all right, he needs to be the guy who goes in, right? But Grant gets binged up, and Colton goes in there and plays really well. And so I think that was showed a lot about his preparation, and he's been able to carry that through the whole time.
Now, can you walk us through what kind of type of guy he is off the field and in the locker room?
It's funny. Everyone always asks me that about our players. I don't know. I know, because they're going to act kind of a different way around me. Some guys aren't. Some guys are going to be themselves around me all the time. But some guys, I'm like, I'll make a comment like, oh, man, that guy never talks. And the other guys are like, Coach, he talks all the time. He just doesn't talk in front of you guys. And it's funny. There's different guys have different personalities that way, where he seems like a pretty fun-loving guy, and he jokes around with the guys a bunch and all those sort of things. And he is, I know this, he's a very competitive person. And he believes a lot in his abilities. And those are obviously great quality staff.
And I was going to ask you about his resiliency that he showed by having. It's got to be kind of heartbreaking. You get your first start, you play 2 drives, and then you don't get to come back in. I thought that showed a lot of resiliency because a lot of quarterbacks around the country might have just said, "I'm jumping in the portal tomorrow."
Yep. Well,
So
not only that, but he practices so much that he doesn't. That, he comes back and he gets a chance that next week, and then he plays really well. So I think that he's definitely shown to be resilient. He's shown to be tough. Both mentally and physically. And then, one thing he has great spatial awareness. So he's able to make, the plays happen that are off schedule and off rhythm. And he's been really, really good at that. I think he's making more on schedule plays and on rhythm plays. When he's playing his best, he makes a ton of those. And I think that's when it's really good. That's going to be the part of his game he's going to continue to develop, is all those plays where he is playing on rhythm and within the offense. And then there's those moments where you need to get outside of it and he can still make those. That's when you're, almost unstoppable.
So we've seen him make plays off schedule, on his feet, on the fly. We've also seen his receivers adjust to what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
How much is it for the team to raise their confidence level to see a quarterback where the play's not really ever dead?
Yeah, I mean, it's for a receiver, it's a fine line between pulling out of your route too early and then knowing when he's truly scrambling. Because a lot of those plays he's made down the field, it's still the guy running the same route. He stepped up and climbed into the pocket, maybe avoided, and then thrown it. So it's a learning process for them too. All right, what do I need to do in terms of like, when do I break this route off? When do I not? How long is too long? And those sort of things. So I think as a whole, they continue to evolve, particularly in practice. They're doing a good job of making sure they finish plays in practice, which is helping them finish plays in game.
All right, so far we've seen a lot of electric stats put up by Colton. What kind of ceiling does he have here?
Well, I mean, in a lot of places you're always like, he can be the best guy who's ever come through here. Yeah. I mean, we've had a pretty special one here in Taylor. So obviously Colton plays different than him a little bit. Although Taylor was a tremendous athlete, that he did most of his work with his arm and all that sort of stuff. Colton's done a lot with his legs too, and has been an effective runner, both in the red zone on third down and really scrambling for big plays as well, not just design plays or reads. So I mean, my answer would probably be, hey, he can be a Sun Belt, winning quarterback, and I know that he can be, and obviously we're going to keep coaching him and progressing him so that he can just be, one of the more, dominant players in our league.
Awesome. Do you have any closing words on Colton?
No, I don't. I love that how he's playing. I love how much energy he plays with, and I know he excites a lot of fans. I would say, and kind of off topic, thank you to all the fans for being so supportive. Supportive of ODAS, supportive of the collective, supportive of our team. All those things really matter, and please, come to the games. That matters. Our guys, that's a huge deal. And if you look at just the excitement that we had at the Georgia Southern game, and look how that helped us play. I would like to give a shout out to our student section. I think they've been as good, if not better, than the whole time I'm here, which I've told a lot of people is weird to me, because it's like I begged the students to come for 3 years and it was on and off. This year I haven't asked them once, and they have been there every week. So I'm just telling them thank you, because honestly, I think our student section's been the best since I've been here. And they've stayed, they've been loud, they've been great. And I think it generates a lot of excitement for the rest of the stadium, and it helps out a lot.
Yeah, it changes the whole energy of the stadium.
No question. I mean, it always does. Everyone always says that, last place I was at, the Beaver Stadium's the best stadium in the country. Well, got a 22,000 person student section. So I think that's probably why. And no offense to the other 85,000 people who are there, but without those 22,000, that's why it's exciting. That's why it's loud. That's why it's this. And listen, we have great fans, and I love all of our fans. I mean, I think we have a unique, end zone with the suites and everything like that. It's kind of a different deal that most people don't have. and that is weird for people, and those people get really loud. But our student section is key to the whole thing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ricky.
Yep.
All right, we are here with Old Dominion quarterback Colton Joseph. Colton, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. So let's go back to the beginning. Growing up as a kid, imagine you played a lot of sports. What sports were you involved in as a kid?
Pretty much anything I could get my hands on. Parents put me through all types of sports, football, basketball, baseball, swimming, track, soccer, anything I could get my hands on, really.
All right, so as a kid, you try out a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
When you start focusing on sports, what were those ones you started to really love?
I definitely focused on football and baseball, for sure. Growing up, I was a pitcher, little pitcher, shortstop. I loved baseball growing up too, along with football. But it really just, as time kept going on, I really had to pick one, which one I liked more, just based on time and the amount of attention and effort I was going to give to one area. So I chose football, and it's probably the best decision I've made.
So what age was that where you picked football?
That was probably probably 14, 15.
Okay, and I imagine at that same time you imagined you could go much further with football, and that was
Yeah.
when that kind of clicked.
I always had dreams of making it to the next level, but it really clicked just after realizing how good I was at just making plays and all that, and I realized I had the talent to make it the next level.
All right, so Harry Minniam recently wrote a nice article on you, detailing your whole life and what's led you to this moment. But he talked about the recruitment part. Your recruitment with Old Dominion was pretty swift, right? I mean, they probably offered you, and a month later you were committed.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about that period of time, and what was the initial thing that kind of turned you on to Old Dominion?
So I was kind of a late bloomer coming out of high school. Most guys, they kind of have their schools and where they're going to go after their junior year of high school. I got hurt early my junior year, so I didn't really get any attention after that year. And then come my senior year, had a great season, and that's when I started talking to all these coaches and all that. But Old Dominion came in pretty late. I was looking for a school, any type of level this high, pretty much anywhere I could get my hands on to start playing as early as I could. And they came in. I came here, watched the film right in this room. Loved all the coaches here, my visit and all that, and I just knew it was a good place for me.
All right, so it's arriving on campus. What do you think what area of football have you grown in the most?
Probably the mental aspect. Just I'll probably say mental and leadership. So in high school, as a quarterback, you have to be a leader, but I didn't realize how important that was until I got here and I saw it, and I realized how much teams need a leader and need a quarterback to be that kind of vocal guy. Just out in the field, sometimes you just got to be obnoxiously loud, get the guys going, get them juiced up, and then just mentally figuring out, all these new plays, figuring out the playbook, protections, concepts, all that type of stuff, reading defenses. It's all just a big step I had to take. Took some time for me to really adjust, but once I kind of got in the groove of things, going on whiteboards every day, looking at the playbook, watching film, it all kind of helped me, just learn and grow throughout the process.
So we asked Ricky about this. So Virginia Tech, you're named the starter. You played 2 drives. Quinn comes in for you and you don't get to come back in. A lot of guys, a lot of quarterbacks around the country might have said, all right, I'm in the portal, I'm done. But you showed a lot of character and resiliency by just focusing on the game, doing the work, and being ready to come in at Bowling Green and win that game. What is it about you that pushed you in that direction to remain resilient and have that high character?
You know, that kind of put a chip on my shoulder after that game. But about me, I'm more of a, I like to not hold on to a grudge, but also use bad things that have happened to me as like motivation. You know, you can't really soak on everything that's like out of your control. I just had to figure out a way to get all the bad stuff out of my head and just come in and work every day. You know, trying to get my opportunity again and just really show them what I had to give, because those first 2 drives wasn't really, you know, what I've shown recently. So it just takes time, and you can't get too caught up in what you can't control.
Awesome. So going from a backup to a starter brings a lot more duties and pressure. How are you dealing with those changes right now?
You know, just the guys around me help me out a lot. You know, they've all been through it. They're best, especially the older guys. You know, coming here with my O-line, probably after practice every day, we watch film, and they kind of help me get through everything. And again, it comes back to the leadership process too. You know, coming from as a backup to a starter now, I had to kind of step into that role as like the team leader, offensive leader. So it's definitely hard, but you know, it's a thing that I've had to work on and grow from.
All right. So you were talking about game preparation and watching tape, doing the whiteboard. When you arrived at ODU, obviously most of that was probably new because it's much different level than high school football. Yeah. Was there someone on the team that helped you adapt to that process and learn it, like a teammate that helped you with that process?
I mean, at the time, you know, all those quarterbacks kind of were in the same, but I mean, older guys obviously knew it a lot better than I did, but we were all kind of all learning together, and they would help me out on the whiteboard and, you know, go through my reads and progressions and all that type of stuff.
All right. So obviously speed adjustment going from high school to D1 is a pretty big jump. But what has been your toughest challenge to adapting to the college game?
Toughest challenge, I'd say, it has to do with the speed. You know, like just trying to, you know, defenses are disguising what they're doing. You know, blitzers are coming off edges faster. It really just, the game's a lot more complicated than it was in high school. So it's just, the biggest thing was having to adjust just the speeds and how fast everything happens. You know, having to react in milliseconds. That's probably the biggest thing, is just the speed.
All right. And then since you've been starting for a few weeks, we're now starting to see defenses adjust to your play style. How has that been to kind of see in real time?
You know, at first it's like, okay, they're not, at first they didn't adjust. So it's, I kind of just played my game. And then as it goes on, I guess teams are kind of realizing what they have to do. They kind of took me for granted at first, and now they're realizing what they have to do to kind of, I guess, control me, you could say. I don't know how to phrase that, but you know, it's kind of a weird feeling knowing that they have the game plan for me all of a sudden. But it's definitely, you know, feels good.
Yeah, I noticed in that App State game, they started shading safeties over to the middle of the field to kind of maybe slow down you and the relationship you and Pat Conroy have built as a passer and catcher. I don't know if I'm off base there, but it seemed like they were trying to stop the middle of the field plays.
I mean, every defense has their set plays and their set alignments, and I think that's just what they ran, you know. So I think it's just more of a coincidence.
All right, that's fair. So closing out, we got just a couple more questions for you. What's it been like to become a Monarch and kind of get more involved on this campus community?
You know, it's nice to get in the school spirit. All the fans, love all the fans, all our, you know, students, staff, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's cool to be a part of a cool winning program, or a good winning program, and it's cool.
All right. So I'm going to let Aaron ask some fun questions that he's going to riff on.
All right, Colton. There's no right answer here. First thing that comes to your mind, spit it out. All right. Mike and I like food. All right. So we talk about food a lot. If you are choosing the pregame meal, what's it going to be?
Oof. Chicken Alfredo.
That is not the first time that we've heard that, but I think it's still shocking.
Carb loading.
Yeah. But,
That's
all right. Okay. Favorite spot in the 757 to get something to eat?
Favorite spot. I really kind of, it's called I think it's the Egg West right over here, like that little breakfast spot.
Yeah, we're fans. Definitely good spot.
Yeah.
All right, so you grew up playing sports, all kinds of stuff. If you woke up tomorrow and for some reason weren't on the football team, what other team on this campus would you be starting on?
Probably baseball.
All right.
Just from my background.
All right. Favorite football movie?
Football movie. Probably The Longest Yard. It's probably a good one.
The original or the remake?
Probably the remake. Yeah.
All right. And we know how important offensive linemen are to their quarterbacks. If all the quarterbacks went down and you had to choose one of your O linemen to play quarterback, who would it be and why?
Probably Zach Barlev. He's always out in the field trying to just throw bombs. He's always out there. He's always trying to catch the ball. He's definitely a guy that's very athletic, and he's always just trying to throw the ball. So I guess I'd say him.
All right. My last one would be, if you're going to pick one of the coaches to go and suit up right now, who's it going to be?
You know, I'd love to see Kevin Decker, Coach Deck, get out there. You know, he's always showing us his film, showing us how to do stuff. So I'd love to see him in action. He's talking up a storm over there about what he can do. So I'd love to see it in person.
So closing out, I think we have to talk about your family just for a moment. Your family has been extremely supportive. Even your siblings, they're always out here for games as much as they can be. What's it like to have that support system in place for you when you're moving across country to go to college?
You know, it's awesome. I feel blessed to really have that connection with my family, and it's awesome that they come out. Family is a really big part of my life. We're all close, and I really just feel like they have my back with everything. I have their back. It's that type of relationship, and it's really important to me.
All right, and then I think your dad would be mad if I didn't mention golf at least once. Obviously, your family loves golf.
Oh yeah,
it's a family activity for you guys. Who is, after Drayton, who is the best golfer in the family?
I don't know. Me and my pops go back and forth. You know, little matches about who's gonna beat who's gonna give strokes to who. So, you know, I'd say me. On a good day. On a good day, you know, we all have our ups and downs in golf.
Absolutely.
I'm either hitting it straight down the middle or 3 fairways to the right. So depends on the day, but you know, I'm confident in myself.
All right, Colton. Thank you for your time. If you have an outgoing message for Monarch Nation, this is the best time to share it.
All I gotta say is roll Monarchs. Let's go.
Let's go. Go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs.